Hey everyone, so here's a type of review that I haven't done for a while, and that is a musical album review. I probably should be doing more of these because I do actually really enjoy them when I decide to do one. And today's going to be no exception because today I'm going to be looking at what is, over the past few years, has become definitely one of my favourite albums of all time to listen to. This album has really racked up quite a lot of accolade in the past 10 years that it's been out. And of course, I'm doing the review now because it just recently turned 10, and that album is Currents by Tame Impala, the third of his currently four albums that he has released. And of course, I've reviewed the Slow Rush before on this channel a few years back, and even at this time, Tame Impala still hasn't released any new albums since the Slow Rush in 2020. He has released singles. He's done a lot of collaboration projects with more recently Justice with Neverender on their Hyperdrum album, which I also really like. That's a really good album as well. He's done a lot of movie like end credits song collaborations. He did one for Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves with the Wings of Time, which was a movie I really enjoyed. He also did one for Despicable Me 4, which I didn't see because I'm not a big fan of the Despicable Me movies, unfortunately. I don't hate them. I find them enjoyable, but I just don't really like them that much. Though he did Turn Up the Sunshine, which is also a very decent track. He did a song for Gorillaz for what was Cracker Island, New Gold, which was also a fairly decent song. But anyway, about Currents. So this album just turned 10 years old on the 17th of July, just about a week ago now. And I think I should probably run you up to speed with my overall history of listening to this album. So when it comes to being a fan of Tame Impala, I'm actually still pretty new in this category. I only started listening to Tame Impala very recently, about 3 years ago in 2022. I've been listening to music my entire life. I had an iPod ever since I was like about 10 years old, back in 2007. But throughout the 2010s, I was listening to a lot of music. I was listening to, like, let's say, Daft Punk. I listened to Savage Garden and Darren Hayes, as I always have. A lot of, American artists like Pink. What else? I listened to some Eminem. I listened to a lot of rock, like, let's say, Dragon Force, Guns N' Roses. I listened to a whole heap of music. But funnily enough, I never listened to Tame Impala because I never really knew about Tame Impala that much throughout the 2010s. I did know of his existence and his musical work, but I never really listened to him. He was kind of under my radar. And then in 2022, I've started to use Spotify. I was listening to more Deadmau5, more niche electronic bands like Justice, a bit of Aphex Twin, a bit of The Presets, which is another Australian band. But I started listening to Tame Impala, and the first album I did listen to him was Currents, and I was really impressed by just how incredible this album was. I have listened to all four of them, though this was the first album that Kevin Parker produced where he mixed all of the music on his own, and there's definitely a noticeable difference. Now, I love the first two albums, and what I'm saying here, this is not a con in the slightest, because it actually kind of adds to the charm of these two albums. But you notice that the first two albums, they kind of sound a bit fuzzy. They sound a little bit distorted, like the mixing is not as clear as it probably should be. I don't think it subtracts from these first two albums. I do think they are still very good listens, and some incredible musical work on those first two albums, but you can notice the certain fuzziness and haziness of when it comes to like the audio mixing quality. On Currents, that's not there anymore. It's a lot clearer, it's a lot more crystal clear, and it's a noticeable mixing improvement. But also Currents kind of signified a little bit of a departure from his first two albums. His first two albums were very, very acoustic, very electric guitar heavy, with a lot of drums and a lot of just very acoustic sound work. This one kind of delves more into a little bit of electronic, and it's definitely much in the Tame Impala style, but you can definitely notice the more like electronic synth work that is being used in this album. Now to the tracks, I love every single track that is on this album. I don't think there is a weak track in this album. Every song, every track is wonderfully done. I mean, like the opener, "Let It Happen," is it's an incredible opening track. It's very oral. It's very progressive. It's a long song. It clocks in at 7.5 minutes. Yeah, it doesn't feel like it drags on. It really flows. I mean, you get like the first verse, then the second verse, and then after the second verse, it kind of just goes on and it kind of meanders a little bit, but it goes into like this kind of like this repetitive loop that goes on for a while. But then it kind of like transitions into some really psychedelic and really very dreamy like lyrics that kind of don't really mean much, but they kind of like swirl around in like a circle for a bit, and then it goes to like the final riff. And this is like a really cool portion of like the song. It just kind of is just like tangents and on into like its own thing, which is really, really cool. But the song in itself does have two verses. It does have lyrical content, of course, but it's a very unique track, and it's a really strong opener for the rest of the album. The album goes into the second song, which is called Nangs, which is a very like a very electronic work. It's a much shorter track. It's only like 2 minutes long, and it's definitely a more instrumental track. The only lyrics is there something more than that, repeated over and over and over again. Also a very psychedelic song, and much known by Tame Impala's musical style. It's a good song. It's kind of more like a connector song into the next song, which is The Moment, which is also a very, very upbeat and very sparky and very very pleasant sounding track. I've always liked this song, but I do actually prefer the song that comes after it, Yes, I'm Changing, which is actually a very powerful song about kind of like Kevin Parker's growth as a person, and how he does not believe that people just stay the way that they are for the rest of their lives, that people never change, that he says is bullshit, which is one of the only curses in the entire album. Which is actually, I mean, like, it's very true. I mean, like, I don't believe that a person is meant to just stay set in stone permanently as one way for the rest of their life. I mean, like, there's a very important thing to take away from this track, that life is always flowing and always moving from one thing into something else. It's always in a state of metamorphosis. Overall, I thought was a very powerful song and a very nice song to listen to. Then we get into it Eventually, which is a kind of more like a more hard-hitting like rock song. It has a bit of a rock riff at the start, a bit of electric guitar. There's a lot of distortion in this track. It's just kind of a song sort of about patience, which is actually there was a song released in 2019 leading up to Slow Rush called Patience. But this song is different. It's more just like about like Tame Impala singing about like that you will be happy eventually, just give it time. But overall, a really, really good, solid track as well, with also a really good outro as well that does go on for quite some time. And then after Eventually concludes, we get another transition track, a complete instrumental, which is also shorter than Nangs. It's called Gossip. It's just kind of like this very very small instrumental, almost like tie-over track to what is most definitely the most well-known song on this album, and the one that's definitely most talked about and has received the most accolade and popularity. The less I know, the better. What can I say about this song that hasn't already been said? It is absolutely fantastic from start to finish. It is such a well-crafted song. It's such an incredible sounding song. It kind of like, it has like a nice opening riff, and it kind of just like springboards into like this glam rock intro, which is just, it kind of screams a bit of David Bowie at the start. It's like this real glamorous kind of like kick into this really, really upbeat and memorable song from what I think is about an affair, about two people that slept together, that Kevin Parker knows. And of course the song is The Less I Know, the better. So like the less I know about what they did in the bedroom, the better I'll feel, which is pretty funny. But it's also about a past relationship that I guess turned sour or just didn't work out, and it's also about Kevin reminiscing about how he was doing fine without this person until he saw his face. Oh, it's her face. Doesn't really matter, and that he can't erase. And it's just a really, really well put together song. It's not that long. It only lasts 3.5 minutes, but it's only as long as it needs to be, and it's so full of life and so full of what it is. And it has a really, really good bass line throughout, like the bridge of the song, which leads from the second verse to like the outro. This part of the song I thought was just like incredible. I mean, like there's this and there's this really good bass that like goes underneath it, and every time I listen to it, it just gives me goosebumps of just how good it is. And like the note work, how it kind of like jumps from one note and then the note lingers. It's just, it is an iconic song from start to finish. But that's not the best of the album. To me, I feel like, even though the less I know, the better is definitely a highlight, I feel like the best is yet to come, because the following song is also probably one of my favourite songs on this entire track, which is Past Life. This song is just... I have no words for just how incredible this song is. I mean, it starts as a spoken word, so it's kind of like a spoken word poem about basically Kevin just going about his day, and then he gets this strange experience that he sees this person. He has like an instant connection to like this girl that he believes is his lover from a past life. Then it goes into this really transcendent chorus, and then which progresses into kind of like this second verse of this poem, which just goes into this incredible piece of music, which just kind of like opens up and blossoms into this masterpiece of a song, which it really is. I mean, I was inspired by this song. I made a video on my second channel called Spooked, which was a Avatar: The Last Airbender mashup video, which I made to this song, which I still I sometimes go back to it even now and like, wow, like thinking this song made me actually do that. Anyway, it is just a song that I really, really enjoy every time I listen to it, and it's definitely one that I hold in very high regard in Tame Impala's career. Then the album progresses into probably like maybe like the final third of the album, which starts with Disciples. Another good song. I think if there is maybe a weaker track on this album, this might be it. I mean, this is not bad in any stretch of the imagination. Every song on this album is brilliant, but this song, it's kind of I'm not yet sure what it's really about. It's just kind of like just another one of maybe just Kevin Parker kind of rambling in this song. But it is a pleasant sounding song, but it quickly transitions into "'Cause I'm a Man," which is him explaining to a woman that he can sometimes make mistakes, and he can be foolish sometimes, and he doesn't always think through all of his decisions, which is kind of cute in a way. But it's a slower, mellowed out song, which is a nice change of pace from what you were hearing previously, and it is a nice sounding and kind of relaxing song, which is really good. Then there's Reality in Motion, which is another really nice song. It's all about, you know, how kind of like alluding to like what he said in Yes, I'm Changing, that life is always moving, can't you see? And it's all about just, you know, how overwhelming the world can be around you. Everything is always in motion. There's always so many things going on. Nothing ever stays still. You rarely get a break. It can be very overwhelming and exhausting, but it's also very very electrifying and inspiring, and it can be very fun, and it can be fun to get lost in life, which is what I think this song is about. Then we get to the final two songs of the album. You get Love/Paranoia, which is also a very it's a very sentimental song, which I also think is definitely about Kevin reminiscing on a past relationship which probably went sour, which probably went wrong, which ended in like a breakup. It's him reminiscing. He sings about that, him and this and this lover of his was standing by the ocean and having a good time, and then it just says, "Girl, I'm sorry." Um, I'll probably have to listen to the song maybe a few more times. I don't know. I think I maybe already know, but it's just him like apologising to a girl about something that went between him and this girl probably quite a while before he even recorded this album. So it's probably his most personal song on the on the entire album, and it's a very heartfelt song. And now we get to the final song on this album. Now, what I'm about to say is very bold, but I think that New Person Save Old Mistakes is absolutely his best song on this entire album by far. Even better than The Less I Know the Better, which is a bold claim, but I have no words for this song. This song is incredible in every single way. It is as perfect as you can get to an album song, and it is, to me, the perfect closer song for basically anything. This song is so many things in one. You know, it talks about like mistakes. It talks about choices. It talks about feeling that you've lost control over your life. It talks about fate. It talks about free will. It talks about so many things, and yet it is completely clear in what it tries to communicate. Yet it also feels a little scatterbrained, which I guess is the whole point of the song. But it kind of like speaks about like, how do you know if you've done the wrong thing, and how do you know if you've gone too far? And it inspired me to the point that I actually wrote a movie script, which was completely separate to this song, of course, but like I wrote a script and I envisioned this song as being like the perfect closer song to my film, because it matches like the themes of like what I've written in this script, and I can just like visualize like this song in particular being really good for playing over the credits of this film that I wrote. I know that's a bold claim, and I know I mean this script I wrote was, I mean, it is nowhere near being possible for me to make this into a film, but it's something I envision a lot when I hear this song, meaning like this is a great song to end this movie script with. But anyway, enough about my movie, let's talk about the song. So this is just an incredibly written song, an incredibly mixed song, an incredibly performed song. It is, I mean, this song is Tame Impala at his best, and that is all I can really say. It is a perfect closing track. It also has the audacity at the end of the song to say that his story is very almost just like you. He says, "I know this is hard to digest, but maybe your story ain't so different from the rest," which is such a powerful thing to close an album on, for sure. And it's a very powerful line that you definitely take away with you after you listen to the album. And of course, it goes on a little bit further about somehow like she has her demons and you have your regrets. So it is a very, very deep and very well laid out song, and definitely goes deeper than most modern songs when it comes to like the lyrical value of it. But anyway, that's Currents. It is, to me, I do think that this is a perfect album. It is it was kind of like a transition period from Kevin Parker's earlier style into a more modern, more kind of like a more sort of like an evolution of his sound into like a more electronic soundscape, which is kind of what the Slow Rush kind of continues as well. I love all four of the albums very much so, for very different reasons, but this definitely lays down as my personal favourite of all four of them. And it's definitely the most popular choice from what I can see as the favourite Tame Impala album. And I can see why. It's just incredible. And of course I'm going to give this album a 10 out of 10. It really deserves that score. It is definitely achieved iconic status over the past 10 years that it's been released. It's done so much for the scope of Australian music on the international stage of the world when it comes to music. It has definitely propelled Tame Impala to a very high point of fame, which he is still riding on even now. It has earned its place in my favourite Australian albums, up with the two Savage Garden albums, which I reviewed a few years back, as well as my favourite albums that I listen to very right now. It took me a while to get into Tame Impala, but I definitely really admire those 4 albums that he's made. It just 2015 was actually a really good year for Australian media in general. I mean, like, in May 2015 we had the incredible Australian action film Mad Max Fury Road come out, with the soundtrack by Junkie XL, which, even though Junkie XL isn't Australian, but that was a really good Australian release. And then only a couple months later, on July 17th, we get Currents, and it's kind of like a 1-2 punch for from Australian media for film and for music in that year, combined together into what was a really memorable time for Australian creativity. But overall, that's my my long coming review of Currents. I might delve into, I probably will delve into to the first 2 Tame Impala albums later on, because I haven't reviewed those yet. But overall, I am really excited for the future of Kevin Parker's career. He's been on a hiatus for a while when it comes to his album work. A lot of people have been kind of like urging him to release a new album, but I'll just say give him his space and let him take his time to create another masterpiece, because you can't rush good music, unfortunately. You can't tell people or musicians to rush out the next album, because you don't want the next album to not be, good. So overall, I would just say give him his space, let him cook, as what people like to say. But overall, that's my review of Tame Impala's Currents. So hopefully you enjoyed what I had to say. Thank you so much for watching the channel. You guys are the best, and as always, take care. Thank you.